Hello everyone, I am right here. I'm just making sure that you can see me and that you can see the work surface because we have a great show for today. Welcome everyone to today's DoughDr. I'm your host and baking expert, Chef Colette. And yeah, let's get started. Thank you so much for joining me. How are you all doing today? How are your Thanksgiving baking plans coming along? And we have a really great question come in that I think is going to really help a lot of you this week with your baking. So we're going to get to that in a second. But please remember, drop your questions in the comments and I will get to them. Bakers, this is most likely our busiest baking week of the year. It really ramps up. And if you're wondering what I'm doing, I want to show you one more soft roll shape before I send you off to your kitchens to start baking. So I'm just scaling the dough to 60 grams. So I have a follow-up from 2 weeks ago, and by the way, the filming went fantastic. I missed you all, but it just went great, and I'm hoping that it will lead to more opportunities so I'll be able to bring you guys even more content. So yeah, I knew you would ask, so I thought I would just let you know. So perfect. All right, let's get started. So for today, our baker, Life of Irony, asked just such a great question. I've said that 3 times, that this was, all questions are great. And I see one coming in, and I will get to that one in a second. Pistol Packing Mama, I got you. But this one was about mixing times for yeasted dough and all the confusion that's out there on the internet. Basically, our baker wants to know, how long do I actually have to mix this dough? And why do some recipes say mix 10 minutes on one speed, and other recipes might say 5 to 6 on another? So we are going to tackle that one right now. Great. Okay, I'm done scaling, so I can get rid of this. And we'll come back to these in just a second. And I will have a video of this shaping I'm going to demo for you on the website by Monday, so you'll be able to watch a video. Because I know when you're live, when we're live, because we are live and alive, well, sometimes it's not as clear. So I will shoot a nice clear video. All right. So what I did when I got this question, I made a decision that I would mix a dough right here and answer Life of Irony's questions and your questions right off the bat. So first, let me just put you into the picture, and I've got some nice hellos coming in and some waves. I'm waving right back at you and helloing back. It's wonderful to see you guys. Okay. So it all depends, but yeasted doughs are either mixed for a short time. If they have a high level of water compared to the flour, that's called hydration, or they are mixed moderately, which would be 5 or 6 minutes, usually no higher than speed 2. See, that's why I'm here. Because I'm here to dispel all that stuff that's out there on the internet, all right? Because I really do know. I absolutely know. Okay. Or if you're making something like brioche, where we make a dough and then we're going to add fat, well, then you might be mixing for 15 minutes. The top of your mixer will get good and hot. Not so hot that there's a problem, but it does warm up, and you may turn up that speed a little bit. But we're going to talk normal. we're going to talk Thanksgiving soft roll normal. And by the way, I have declared Saturday, November 19th, National Soft Roll Day. So Congress, you can make that, turn that into law next week. Don't you agree? I think this is National Soft Roll Day. All right, so we're just talking normal dough. Nothing, not brioche, but a normal dough. All right, so I'm going to move the mixer over, and Life of Irony, I saw you in the audience. This is for you. This is for all of you. All right, because there's a lot of confusion out there. In the mixer bowl, I have, this is the recipe that's on my website right now, and I will be posting tomorrow updates to the par baking, to what to freeze, what not to freeze, everything we talked about 2 weeks ago. All right, so this is the same recipe, nothing new. So milk, water, and yeast. And I actually have everything else in this bowl, which would be bread flour. You can use AP, butter, sugar, and salt. But if you are using AP flour for breads, please get one like the King Arthur all-purpose that has a high enough protein content, aka enough strength, so we can get a nice strong bread dough. So all of that's going in. All right, now here's the thing, okay, whoops. This is the dough hook, and the way the mixer is designed, it has 3 attachments. It has the dough hook, it has the paddle, and it has the whisk. So before I go much further, I'm going to talk about these 3 attachments, and I should have all of them, but right now I just have this one in my hot little hand. And I'm going to talk about what they do and what speeds they work best on. All right, dough hook, 0 to 2. All right, what this does is it replicates kneading by hand. So this hook moves the dough around the bowl. Padunk, 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 padunk. Sometimes we go a little higher than 2 if the ingredients aren't catching, which means they're not combining. So a little bit of over 2 is okay, but this one is designed for lower speeds. Let's leave it at that. And you know what? Every mixer is a little bit different, and so we're going to go with slow, we're going to go with medium, we're going to go with fast. So your dough hook, slow speeds. That paddle, that's designed to cream fat and sugar together and to get everything into the mix. And so we're on medium speeds with that attachment. That whisk, we're ripping it. The whisk creates air pockets and foams. And so we might start low, but we go faster with the whisk attachment. Now you know, okay? So this is our recipe from 2 weeks ago, the one we're working on. I got some nice comments, some nice DMs that you guys have already made your dough or made your rolls. So I'm so excited because this goes together so easily. And it just uses, unless you double it up, 1 package of yeast. Because remember from last time, 1 package of yeast equals 7 grams. And I hope you've all bought yourselves scales, because when we weigh our ingredients, it's consistency and accuracy. That's what we're after. Okay, so now, Life of Irony, my baker, here we go. This dough mixes for about 5 to 6 minutes, all right? It's not an intensive brioche. It's not a lightly mixed ciabatta, focaccia, or baguette with a ton of hydration that's almost impossible to handle without a little water or oil on your hands. Now I like to start on speed 2 because it gets a little bit of a little bit of speed, and the ingredients tend to capture. So I'm going to do 3 minutes on speed 2, and then we'll do a couple minutes on speed 1, and we'll take a look. All right? And I'm going to move the mixer back so that I know I have questions. Okay? And we're going to be legit. I'm going to set a timer. I know sometimes I fly by the seat of my pants. I'm pouring that vanilla. I do 7 shades of crazy. Sometimes I do that just to entertain you. I will be honest. But today we're going to be legit and we're going to set a timer. Now when you are mixing anything and you mix for a little while and there's still ingredients up the side of the bowl, stop the mixer and scrape them down. Whether it's a bread, whether it's a cookie, whether it's a cake, doesn't matter. And as a matter of fact, I have to do that. So I'm going to stop the mixer. I'm going to scrape down quick, and then we're going to go again. I have to be quick because I don't want to stop that timer. I want to focus on you guys because this is our time together. Okay, speed 2. All right, here we go. Now, Pistol Packing Mama had a question. All right, so, I lost it. So, Pistol Packing Mama, do I take frozen cooked rolls out of the freezer the night before or the morning of Thanksgiving? Depending on when you are going to serve, but I would take them out the morning of Thanksgiving. Don't unwrap them, just put them on the counter. The kitchen will be nice and warm because you're doing your Thanksgiving thing, and let them thaw in their wrapper for about 2 or 3 hours, and then refresh them in a 350-degree oven for 5 minutes, and they will come right back. So, Pistol Packing Mama, that's your answer. All right, now let's see. Nope, no more questions. All right, cool beans, we're working away here on the DoughDr. So the dough is working away, and now, the other thing that I'm going to post, is the fact that we can vary this roll recipe a little bit by adding a little whole wheat flour. And that's what I did. Oh, I have to show you. They're so pretty. Oh my God. Hold on. Got a lot going on today, but that's okay. Look at these. Aren't they gorge? They're so pretty. So this is the shape I'm going to teach you today. This is a faux braid. It's a faux braid, and it's really, really lovely. And it's super easy. Okay, now, let me show you what this looks like. We're going back to our dough. All right, there we go. It's a little on the sticky side, but that's okay. It's not egregious. It's not too terrible, but it's undermixed. And how do I know it's undermixed? It's breaking apart way too easy, and I can't really pull a gluten window. So we're going to do another, which is important because we need that structure. We will do another 3 minutes, but on speed 1. And bakers, you will see the difference. Okay, and when the dough is a little sticky, I'm just going to toss in just like a tablespoon more flour and clean my hands. Use your baker's instincts. I scaled that in a hurry. I might have been a little heavy-handed. I I'm sure that was operator error because I've made this dough, oh, I don't know, 6 times in the past couple weeks, and it hasn't been sticky. But that's the fix, just a quick fix. All right, any question? No, we're good. Just making sure. Yay, awesome. Okay, so to show you that faux braid, which is really fun and pretty. Now, last week we made rounds, totally fine, but I wanted to add a little bit of pizzazz to this week since we were still talking about the rolls. And any other baking questions, pies, timeline, drop them in the comments. Let's use our time to advantage. So what I'm doing, and I want to make sure you can see, I always worry about that. What I'm doing is I take my scaled pieces of dough, because we're going to make a strand to make our faux braid. So I'm actually pre-straight shaping in a strand. Now I'm not going to waste our time and do all of them. I'm just going to do like 4 so that you can see. Okay, so I just make little cigars to start, and you want to keep them covered. We always keep our dough covered so they don't form a skin. Otherwise, and you can't get rid of the skin, otherwise it's a mess. Now the other thing, I'm always asking you to think about things, right? So this is pretty much our last Thanksgiving baking session, because Thanksgiving is Thursday. So I'd like you to think about what, for your December holiday bakes, what are some of your challenges? What are you thinking about? Because I was planning the show for December. And I thought I like to involve you bakers, so I want to know what you're thinking. I can make stuff up. That's easy. All right. So it's been about 3 minutes on the dough that was in the mixer, and I want to show you the change. And life of irony, I think this is going to really help with all the conflicting information. So the thing about the internet, like, it's really wonderful, right? We have so much information at our fingertips, but there's also a lot of malarkey out there. So always vet your sources. You know, make sure that the person writing the blog post is, you know, legit. Legit seems to be the word of the day. All right, so let's take this out, plop this down. I just put a little bit of flour down. Now remember how it was pulling apart 3 minutes ago? Like I took it, a little bit of flour. What we want to be able to do for a dough like this, again, this is a medium hydrated dough. There's about 63% hydration compared to 100% of the flour. I promise that's as bad as the math gets. What we want to be able to do is be able to make sure we can see our gluten, that we have a little bit of development, and it holds together like silly putty, if anybody remembers silly putty, or if you played with your gum as a kid, you know, you could stretch it. We want to be able to stretch our dough so we see a little bit, they call this the window pane effect. All right, now what happens is if we mix too long, then we're whipping a lot of oxygen into the dough, and that compromises. What that does, it crushes the beautiful the carotenoids that are in this, the pigments, carotenoid pigments that are in this dough. And so what happens is we lose flavor. Okay, so you want it to be able to kind of stretch it a little bit and pull a little of a gluten window. Now last time I kneaded this by hand, this time it was the mixer, so let's recap. Kneading this by hand is going to be a good solid 8 minutes. All right? Kneading it in the machine, maybe a little bit longer. It's a very zen experience. In the mixer, that was 3 minutes on speed 2, so the hook or a little low to medium speed, which on most KitchenAids, most stand mixers is about a 2, and then going back to speed 1 to finish off the mix. Look at that. Isn't that just gorgeous? It's really, really pretty. Now I'm going to put it in its bowl and I'm going to bulk ferment it. I'm going to let it rise until it's doubled in size. And this dough, because I promised you I would fill you in on what happened with all the testing I did, this dough freezes really well. So what you want to do is you want to let it bulk ferment until it doubles in volume. Then you want to press out the gas and put it in the freezer. Now you're thinking, how's she going to tell me to put it in the freezer? Well, this is what works really well. Take a gallon-sized Ziploc bag, butter the inside lightly because the fat in the dough is the fat in the bowl and the fat in the bag if you're freezing dough. And you're going to stick it in the and then you're going to put it in the freezer, and you don't want it airtight. You just want to close make sure it's not too much air, not too little air. Label, date it, and it will stay in the fridge for 10 days. 10 days is fine. So then the day before you want to make your rolls, you take it out of the freezer, you put it in the refrigerator, let it thaw overnight, and the next morning, what I usually do is I pull it out when I get up to make my coffee in the morning, let it warm up for an hour, and then shape, proof, and bake. So really, really great news about this dough. But let it have that bulk fermentation, let it double in volume right after mixing. Don't freeze it off the mixer. If you have to, you have to. But if you let it rise first, you'll have better volume in those finished rolls. Okay, so always, I feel I'm always looking for my plastic wrap. And I'm just going to cover this quick, and then we will go on to our shaping. Oh, we've got some good questions. Yes! Thumbprint cookies. Okay, so we're going to cover. Don't you hate it when your plastic wrap just like decides it's not going to work? Oh, so frustrating. Okay. All right. Oh, by the way, I have Sophia here, the beautiful sourdough starter. And if you're making these rolls and you have a nice starter that maybe you're not baking with but you're feeding, you can put 50 grams in these rolls and it really makes them yummy. I had Sophia here so that I wanted to I wanted to let you guys in on that. And I will put that on the blog post as well. But isn't she gorgeous? She's so active. For someone who's 58 years old, she's just a firecracker. Okay, now, I know I have questions, and then I'll show you this quick shape, and I'll let you get back to your baking or your shopping or your planning or however you are tackling this holiday baking this weekend, because this is the weekend to get organized. Oh, thanks. Actually, everything I have is pink in the kitchen. All right, so let's see. We had a question. Okay, here we go. Our question is from AC Payne, and this is a wonderful question. My jam oozes out of my annual thumbprint cookies. Any way to keep it walled in? Okay. Right off the bat, we want to make sure and we want to make sure in our baking that the type of jam we're using for our fillings is actually got a fair amount of pectin in it. This is where sometimes our homemade jams and like the really beautiful softer French jams like Bon Maman, they're not always the best choice for filling during baking because they have more water content, they're softer, they have less pectin. That's what I meant to say. They have less pectin, so they can jump out of a Danish. They can ooze out of a thumbprint cookie. What we want is so it's in the one jam choice. Actually, I always go for the store jam because it always has the generic one is always the one with the most pectin. Also, maybe they're being overfilled a little bit. We always want to fill less. And here, AC Payne, I have a recommendation. I have a teeny tiny spoon that I use for filling. And it really helps. Sometimes if I'm filling with a larger spoon, it can be a problem. If you're piping in your fillings and you find that the filling is oozing out, change to a smaller piping tip, a smaller diameter, because what could be happening is it's just too much is coming out. So if you use a smaller tip, you'll have more control. And also, fill the cookies, chill them for a half hour before baking. That can really, really help as well. And press down almost to the pan. Don't go through the pan, but make sure that you're pressing down. Don't be shy. Don't be shy because the baking process will knit that base of that cookie together. Okay? So I hope that helps. I think we covered about 4 things. Make sure you're using, let's recap, high pectin jam, chill the cookies filled for a half hour before baking, use a small spoon or a smaller piping tip if you're piping in the fillings, and make sure the depression is it's really good. You know, I think that with the chilling is going to make a big difference. All right? So great. Awesome. Let's see. Pistol Packing Mama, great cheesecake question. I have my water here, turning into a frog. When creating a water bath for a cheesecake, have I ever put the water below the cheesecake on a shelf? Yes. I have done that for mini cheesecakes. So, yes, it can be done, but for a very large cheesecake, like anything larger than like a 9-inch and higher, I would do the old school way with putting it in the water bath. But that's a really great way to handle mini cheesecakes, or cheesecakes if you're making them like the where they're half chocolate and half cheesecake and you're in the muffin tin. Well, how are you going to deal with that, right? That's a slippery slope. So the water on the pan below is a good way. And AC Payne is coming back, bakers. She used Bon Maman, which is a lovely jam. However, we want the pectin when we're baking. We need the hold. Bon Maman, they don't cook it as long when they're making the jam. They want it soft and elegant and so ooh la la français. But for those cookies, AC Payne, it's pectin all the way. Store brand, and you'll see a difference. All right. Before we go, let me show you this cool shape. Remember, we're doing the the faux braids. If you have time to make these, your friends and family, well, they'll ooh and ah, but I'll tell you, if you put hot rolls in front of them, that you made from scratch, they're gonna lose it anyway. This is just gravy. And don't forget, think about December bakes. I was kind of thinking maybe we could do a Bûche de Noël through December. Like each week I'll demo a component of it's also called a Yule log cake. So if you guys would like that, let me know. You can DM me too. All right, everyone. So we're going to take our little cigar. We pre-shaped these, stuck them under the plastic, and now I'm going to roll it out to about 16 inches, like this, okay? Okay, then we're going to create a U shape, and we're going to lay it on the counter, and I'm making sure that you can see. I'm going to pull it closer to myself, okay? You're going to pick up the left-hand side, and you're going to put it under the right-hand side with about a 4-inch tail. And the little the right side end is going to just go on top of the left side, all right? Just like it was going to take a nap. And then the tail is going to go through the big loop and go off to the side. Then you're going to take the loop. Here, let me do it backwards. This will be hilarious. And then you're going to twist. And you're going to bring the tail through the loop. Wait, I think I did. See, I don't think I could do it upside down. So I screwed up. See? But that's okay. I'll talk it through. So the left-hand side goes under, the right-hand side goes on top. We bring the left-hand side through, we give this a twist, and we bring this over. I'll do one more. This one got a little weird, but I have more dough. Let's see, before I go, you guys, can I do this upside down? Feels like a Food Network challenge. Okay. So now, there we go, a little bit longer. And I had weighed these out to 60 grams. So here we go. So there it is, there's your U shape. And the left-hand side goes off like that, okay? And the right-hand side is go sleepies. And then this one, the tail goes through, and it goes off to this side. You take this, you twist, grab the tail, stick it in the hole, and then pinch, and we have our faux braid, just like that. All right, everyone. Then they go on the sheet tray. Remember, when we're working with our rolls, the dough has to bulk ferment or double in size. Then we degas that gas, and we shape our rolls, and then they have to ferment, they have to proof one more time before baking. So one thing about rolls, they don't take as long. These were actually ready to bake in about 50 minutes. Now it depends, everybody has different kitchen temperatures. But before I go, I want you to know, when they're ready to bake, you should be able to squeeze the sides. Your finger imprint will stay. It won't pop back. If it pops back, it needs more time. And they'll have a lovely, light, marshmallowy texture. Then what I do with the pretty, remember the rounds, you can leave plain or dust with flour or egg wash. These I egg washed and hit with sesame seeds. And if you have bagel mix, the bagel topping mix, that's wonderful on rolls. They'll really go crazy if you use that. Everyone, thank you so much for joining me on today's DoughDr. Have a happy and safe Thanksgiving. I'm grateful for you, and I will see you back next week right here at noon Pacific, and we'll start working on our holiday bakes. So think of what you'd like to work on. If not, I'll think of something great, I promise, or good. Maybe not great, but good. But I would love your input. Thank you so much for joining me. Happy baking. And I'm around all week, so if you have questions, shoot me a message. Bye, everyone.